Our verse today is Psalm 146, verse 7. Who executes justice for the oppressed, who gives food to the hungry, the Lord sets the prisoners free. God executes justice for the oppressed. But what is justice? In the literal sense, mishpat in Hebrew is justice. It also means judgment or to act legally. Therefore, justice is to give the proper judgment and to act legally towards another person. Justice is rendering to everyone what is that person's due. Justice in the Old Testament was considered a divinely righteous action, whether it is an action performed by God or human beings. That action that promotes the well-being and equality of every human person. So whether served as punishment for oppressors or transgressors of the law, or by vindicating the oppressed person, justice was always geared towards returning the person to the right path, ensuring that wrongs are made right and the impoverished are restored to prosperity. Justice meant upholding the laws in the Torah. When the psalmist says that God executes justice for the oppressed, it means that God was upholding the rights of the oppressed people, vindicating them from their oppressors and punishing their oppressors for acting unjustly towards them. God also gives food to the hungry. It is part of the justice of God to ensure that every human being is treated fairly and has enough food for sustenance. However, the quest to satisfy only oneself and immediate family, friends and cronies robs the majority of their due. Hence, there is a shortage of food for some in society. While the rich feed heavily and waste food, throwing food away, many others have little or nothing to eat. God comes to the aid of such people by using just and righteous people to meet their needs. In other words, people who practice justice. The Lord also sets prisoners free. Which prisoners is the psalmist referring to? The Hebrew word in the text is asar, which means to tie or to bind. So the word refers to those held in bondage of any kind. Consequently, the psalmist may be referring to the bondage of the Israelites in Egypt that God set them free in Exodus chapter 6 verse 1 to 9, or to the prophecy of Isaiah about setting prisoners free in reference to those who are held bound in exile if you read verses 8 and 9 of this psalm. The context also suggests that the psalmist is thinking about those held under bondage by influential people, with reference to princes in verse 3, whom one should not put trust. God will execute justice for his people, the oppressed, the hungry, and those held under any form of bondage. He will execute justice against their oppressors. But who are those to execute this justice for God in the world? The kings and religious leaders were to ensure justice was given to everyone in the society. But today, can we rely on our justice system? Can we trust our leaders to act justly towards everyone, especially the poor and vulnerable, and those oppressed and subjugated by the rich? We need to pray for our world, that God will raise just men and women in our societies. Lord, raise just men and women to protect the rights of the poor and the vulnerable and those oppressed by rich people in society. Amen. God bless you, and I wish you a lovely day.